So why is Trump winning? I mean, the New York Times poll this week came out, and maybe this will change it with the State of the Union address, but Trump was beating him rather soundly. It was quite a warning light, 48 to 43, also winning way more among women than he had before, winning outright Latinos. What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I just don't want to feel the way I did, and many of us don't, after the election in 2016.
I think the best thing for people in Hollywood that are entrenched in that world is to shut the fuck up. Because as soon as they start talking, people, like, as soon as Robert De Niro starts talking, I'm like, Jesus, get that fucking microphone away from him so I can enjoy Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't want to hear. I love De Niro. I love those mob movies. It's like,
I don't want to hear him that he's a moron. I don't want to hear him talking about politics and about Trump supporters, and just shut the fuck up, man.
Bill Maher and Joe Rogan just torched woke Hollywood, and the backlash was insane. Seriously, can we just keep these Hollywood elites in their bubbles? But no, they'd much rather dispose of ignorant, unwarranted commentary on topics that they obviously don't comprehend. They're right in the crosshairs of Maher and Rogan's uncensored roasting, and let's be honest, they had it coming. If you love ruthless, hold nothing back eviscerations like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.
The bottom line is, it's Biden versus Trump. We want to live in a world that we want to live in and enjoy living in, or live in a nightmare. Vote for Trump, and you'll get the nightmare. Vote for Biden, and we'll be back to normalcy.
Yeah. So why is Trump winning? I mean, the New York Times poll this week came out, and maybe this will change it with the State of the Union address, but Trump was beating him rather soundly. It was quite a warning light, 48 to 43, also winning way more among women than he had before, winning outright Latinos. What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I just don't want to feel the way I did, and many of us don't, after the election in 2016, where we couldn't believe that it happened.
And so you never miss the next one. That was Robert De Niro, fresh from one of his typical anti-Trump tirades, spewing unfettered insults and boldly predicting Trump would lose last year's election. The arrogance, off the charts. But the highlight came when Bill Maher shot back with a straightforward, stinging question. If Trump is so horrible, why did he win even after all your rants and a full-blown media campaign against him? And Niro, he stumbled. You could see the frustration and bewilderment on his face because he didn't know. Only emotion. That's what happens when someone becomes so consumed with despising Trump that they never pause to try and figure out why millions of people continue to support him. It's not enough to scream loudest. You need to listen, think, deal with reality. Otherwise, similar to De Niro, you find yourself appearing totally out of sync when the
And we have to, and whoever the people are who want to vote for him, and there look like intelligent people around there, for some reason, it can't be. It cannot be. If he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore. He'll come looking for me. There'll be things that happen that none of us can imagine.
Outcome does not favor you. Each time I watch that clip, I have to laugh. Bill Maher is still very much working, still hosting his show, and still stating exactly what he believes. Do you remember when Robert De Niro boldly assured us that Maher would be canceled after Trump assumed office? Yeah, about that, flash forward to today, and not only has Maher retained his platform, he's arguably more powerful. The twist? Maher, formerly a vociferous Trump critic, now frequently defends aspects of Trump's philosophy, particularly regarding free speech, cancel culture, and the radical left of the progressive movement. And no, that realignment did not kill his career. If anything, it's made his observations more applicable. So as De Niro's apocalyptic prophecy grew old like milk, Maher's readiness to change and sound off against nonsense on both sides has only added to his credibility. Typical Hollywood outrage. Head on into reality. Honestly, I'm just like Joe Rogan when Robert De Niro
Do you think that's starting to affect Hollywood a little bit, to where now if you look at the most successful people, it is the realest people? You know, people might not even like, say, a Donald Trump, but people are gravitated because they think, hey man, this is him. This is real.
I think the best thing for people in Hollywood that are entrenched in that world is to shut the fuck up. Because as soon as they start talking, people as soon as Robert De Niro starts talking, I'm like, Jesus, get that fucking microphone away from him so I can enjoy Taxi Driver.
Whoopi Goldberg or Joy Behar begin speaking. It's like seeing a slow motion train wreck. You know it's bad, but you just can't look away. These folks live in such insulated bubbles of fame and fortune that they've completely lost touch with what real Americans are going through. Instead of offering thoughtful perspectives, they just spew out disconnected nonsense. Take De Niro, for instance. His insane, Trump-obsessive rants aren't political commentary. They're straight-up emotional breakdown. Or Alyssa Milano, who attempted to cancel Elon Musk while still cruising around in a Tesla. You can't make this stuff up. They sermonize from their multi-million-dollar estates about things that they quite obviously don't know about, then play dumb when people mock them. No surprise that they've made themselves running jokes to individuals such as Joe Rogan and Bill Maher. And for real, they've earned it all. Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't want to hear. I love De Niro. I love those mob movies. It's like
I don't want to hear him that he's a moron. I don't want to hear him talking about politics and about Trump supporters, and just shut the fuck up, man.
Yeah,
like you didn't think this through. Like this is, and he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this thing. You've had this life where you were a fucking raging bull. You know, you were you were in The Godfather. Like, stop doing this. Man. Don't do this.
I'm terrified.
We should all be really concerned. If these are the individuals influencing public opinion, we're in bad shape. These aren't merely careless TikTok users. Many have spent decades with a career, gained respect, acted in classic movies, and influenced cultural moments that impacted generations. But now, it's all coming apart not due to their skill set, but because they can't remain silent on topics they frankly don't comprehend. It's sincerely pitiful to observe. You'd think with all their experience and resources, they'd have the self-awareness to stay in their lane. Instead, they jump into every political or social debate like instant experts, armed with half-baked opinions and zero accountability. The result? They alienate fans, dilute their credibility, and turn into punchlines instead of pioneers. It's like watching a legacy implode in real time, and it's tragic not only for them, but for all of us who used to admire them. That's not too far from the truth. If anything, that might be understood.
I'm terrified to meet some of those people I looked up to now.
You should be.
I mean, like
I've met a few of them, and it's actors in particular, because their whole business is pretend. Their whole business is pretend. You know, one of the things about guys like Theo or comedians, you run into comedians, their business is the opposite of pretend. Their business is just being a real person talking shit. Yeah. The professional shit talkers. Yeah. You know, having fun, being silly, talking shit about things. And actors are not that. They're weird people, man. And the one thing that's harming them in Hollywood is that they get exposed for being who they really are. And a lot of these people that pretend to be all, you know, clean cut and you find out they're into freaky shit.
They're stating it. Take a look at some of the names that have filled headlines over the years. Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, and others who at one time were viewed as clean-cut, respectable faces in entertainment. On the surface, they acted in iconic roles and produced smash blockbusters. But beneath the Hollywood veneer, a far nastier reality awaits grim scandals, corruption of power, and plain criminality. So really, to expect moral guidance or pragmatic sense from these individuals seems naive these days. When they're public, persona is nothing more than a highly spun mask. It's no wonder that their real character comes apart at the seams upon examination. That is why when they begin preaching to the rest of us on politics, morality, or how to live our lives, it does not ring true. Beneath all the glamour and virtue signaling is a history replete with hypocrisy, misconduct, and oftentimes straight up lying. And no one can hide any longer.
It's easier to expose stuff now because social media, I'm sure, like back in the day, I can only imagine the parties that Waylon Jennings and Merle Haggard, can you imagine some of these pictures on the wall in here? Can you imagine some of the stuff? They didn't have to worry about nobody.
Right.
I mean, so there was really...
Rock stars, Leonard Skinner.
Can you imagine?
Led Zeppelin, all those people, the parties.
Hendrix.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Morrison.
Crazy.
Oh, God.
Craziness and no accountability.
Nothing. And all they got to do is like, I was not there. Prove it.
Yeah.
And now...
Yeah. Now
you can't go on an elk cut and everybody knows you're there.
Well, everybody's got a fucking camera in their pocket.
Everybody.
Everything is being filmed, and so many people get exposed for who they really are. It's weird, but it's also probably good for humanity. It's good for, that's one of the things that I think is the rise of podcasts, is people get to see real people having real conversations. And
not in today's world. A decade ago, celebrities openly supported causes, spoke out against politicians, and acted like social conscience. They were beyond reproach, bathed in glory and adoration, and the public loved it. But fast forward to today, and that number has shrunk dramatically. Why? Because the veil is being lifted. They're being exposed one by one for what they truly are: flawed, hypocritical, and often wholly out of touch. Social media, independent media, and uncensored commentary have disabused their carefully constructed illusions. No more covertness behind slushy interviews or scripted activism. The charades are over. People are no longer impressed with virtue signaling. They want sincerity. And Hollywood's facade is beginning to crack. These stars are now perceived by the world as ambitious elites, desperate to remain relevant as their credibility.
some people can do it and some people can't. And I think the Harris thing was they were worried that she couldn't.
I think they made a good assessment that she couldn't.
I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen her have
think.
fun with people. There's this one very funny conversation where she's talking about meeting her in-laws for the first time, where her mother-in-law grabs her face, and it's really funny. It's funny listening to her saying she's laughing hard, but a real laugh this time.
Maybe she could now, though. Maybe she's so, if there is a machine, because you know what is fair to say, even on Harris, I'll say this, or Kamala. And that's what's amazing to me. I didn't think she had a chance to win because I didn't even know. I still don't know what her name is. I mean, so I don't know. What the hell? Is it Kamala?
I think it's Kamala.
It's Kamala. What?
Credibility unravels. Frankly, I don't believe Kamala Harris would fare well in a 60-minute podcast. Interview. Just consider her now famous 60 Minutes interview. It was an absolute train wreck. Her responses were so disconnected and confusing that the network had to edit portions of the tape simply to get her to sound semi-coherent. And that interview was only an hour and a half long. Even after being heavily edited, she still could not keep pace. Now imagine her on a Joe Rogan podcast where discussions can last 3 to 4 hours. Unscripted, unfiltered, and impossible to pretend your way through. No teleprompter, no PR staff feeding lines, just honest, raw conversation. Honestly, it would be difficult to watch, but that's just my opinion. What do you think? Would Kamala bomb in a podcast environment or surprise everyone? Let me know.
You know, and I think the world's changing, like where record producers and stuff are controlling music, and you know, if you're going to get on a radio station to where, you know, everybody walks a tightrope. You have to you're working for this machine. Yeah. Hollywood, I'm sure, the same way. You got people that I remember Ted Nugent tells a story. Was it Kurt Russell? He was one of his best friends was Kurt Russell, and Kurt likes to hunt. And this was Ted just telling me in a hunting camp, and I asked him. I said, "Man, you know, how is Kurt? You know, I love his movies too. I'm a big fan." He said, "Dude, Kurt is amazing." He said, "But he had to a degree during that time frame bow to that machine because he couldn't do these things." So I think now it's like you don't know what's real because you don't know if they are trying to do this for a career or if they can be real. And then at times, okay, I believe De Niro in his case is finally his true colors and finally like I'm enough to where I can be real, but the real you do see in him, I'm like, go back to being fake.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now this is an eye-opener. If anything that this fellow is stating is true, then it is just a matter of time before more of Hollywood's most revered stars pop their cover. Behind all the glamour and red carpet grins, there's a strong manipulative machine holding them in check. And the minute that grip begins to release or they begin to fall out of step with the story, things go awry. Robert De Niro is just the tip of the iceberg. If even a legend like him can lose it, who's to say others can't? The pressure, the hypocrisy, the expectation to keep in line, it's a formula for meltdowns, public meltdowns, and goofy behavior. We already see cracks in the facade, celebrities contradicting themselves, disconnecting from reality, or leaping headfirst into political craziness. So don't be shocked when the next big star falls. The Hollywood bubble is...
Oh, I don't want to hear someone lecturing me that I just... it's so sad.
It's
sad.
Crazy.
But I think... real conversation, like celebrities were always people that were on a pedestal and you didn't think of them as real people. You know, you never got to see John Wayne having long form conversations where he explains his position on this or that. You just never saw any of that. And I think more of that is being exposed now. And I think it's probably good for all of us to not have these ridiculous perceptions of these people and think of them as being larger than life characters. They're just humans.
They're just regular people.
They're all just human beings. And some of these regular human beings are really fucking good at playing bad guys. But you meet them in real life and they're real super.
Is only so resilient before it bursts. And when that happens, the blowback will be spectacular. Hollywood's mask is slipping, and the illusion of moral authority is fading fast. Celebrities who once easily shaped public opinion are now being exposed one rant, meltdown, or tone-deaf comment at a time. From Dyro's Trump obsession to Whoopi's confused takes, the public is waking up to just how out of touch many of them really are. The media machine that once protected them can't hide the cracks anymore. With mouths like Bill Maher's and Joe Rogan's shouting out the hypocrisy, here's proof that fame no longer protects foolishness. The reckoning has started, and it's way past due. That's it for this video. If you like this one, click on the like button and subscribe for more of this kind of thing.